All right, welcome to Sonic Lobotomy. This is the cable TV show about punk rock, featuring punk rock bands, and tonight we have one of my favorite bands from all around Boston, different parts of Boston. It's Jason Bennett and The Resistance. Take it over, guys.
Saturday, guys, my name's Jason. These guys are The Resistance.
But I need to stay listening. They say we talk country. It's not about so there's looking to it for power and money. Thanks God, it's here for asking for some sort of miracle. Such a bit of everything not to leave the country where something was before. Yeah. I trust we're looking for answers. Sales and practicing the art of the night and conquer. Placing loyalty, the party not people. The business should be business, but doing something meaningful. And it's someone can pay the cost. While the people still waiting to Congress and to a private country club. Yeah, when the scales are down from our eyes, God feels some motivation in our lives. And I'm interested in doing what's right, but do what they have to. Hey! Understand, and there's more to being a leader than calling yourself a politician. Yeah, when the scales fall down from our eyes, trying to feel some motivation and lies. And I'm interested in doing what's right, but do what they have to. When the scales fall down from our eyes, trying to feel some motivation. Doing what's right, do what they have
We are here with Jason Bennett and The Resistance, one of my favorite punk bands from the Boston area. And it's a pleasure to have you guys in the studio today on Sonic Lobotomy. Thank you for showing up.
Thanks for having us, TJ.
We're going to have you perform shortly, but first let's talk about some of the material in your songs. Open Letter to a Arrogant Politician. Now, I read the lyrics to that one, and I was floored by it. We all agree with what you have to say. What inspired you on that song?
Really, it came about the way most of our songs do, which was I would it just sort of hits me, and you just sort of do it. You're thinking about the position that you're in, and you know the way your life is, and the things that are affecting it. And that was one of the things that I just thought up, and I just sort of wrote it. That was one of the ones that really came out very quickly. It's that almost sometimes feeling of powerlessness over certain aspects of the greater aspects of your life. You know, you can control the things that directly affect you, but there's a lot that indirectly affects you that we don't always have a lot of control over, especially when you know, a lot of the country gets polarized over I don't want to say trivial issues, but the things that aren't as important as other issues, and it tends to sort of divide us up a little bit. And I don't necessarily feel like, especially after the 2004 election, that the people that were running this country had any respect or regard for the people that actually lived in this country, and that's really why I wrote that song.
I'll work for this country.
Or work for this country, right?
Yeah, I can see your point.
The majority of the people that call themselves Americans, it's not necessarily, you got people that identify themselves as right and identify themselves as left, and they're the polarizing opposites to the electorate. I think the majority of us are somewhere in the middle, trying to, earn a decent living and have a little bit of money left over at the end of the week. And it's those guys and those decisions at all levels, from local all the way to federal, that what they do affects us. And when they can become elected by polarizing everybody and letting those people on either side, on the left, the far left and the far right, decide who gets in office, the rest of us, which, like I said, is the 300 million people in this country, and 298 of them don't believe in the far extremes.
Do you feel in your music, do you feel like you're a mouthpiece for that the general population, the working class population?
I wouldn't necessarily say we're a mouthpiece for the working class population specifically. I mean, I think
that's all we know.
Yeah, I mean,
you can't say
we're a mouthpiece. We're speaking from the experiences that we've had.
Yeah,
and that's really all we can do.
I was thinking about being gangsters with millions of dollars. Or something.
Right? Yeah. No. But I mean, I think it's because we don't know that.
Right.
But there's been periods where all four of us haven't technically been working class because we didn't have jobs.
Yeah, that's true. How can you be part of the working class? Then you're unemployed class. You're
right. Well, there's that too. But I think it's not necessarily like, it's not working class. Again, it's the same thing. It's the majority of the people in this country work for a living, are decent people that really don't expect a whole lot for nothing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think we grew up with a tradition of that kind of music.
We don't wanna see you be dead.
this situation, Jason and the Resistance, do you bring the lyrics in and the other guys collaborate, or generally I'm interested in the creative process.
These two can say whether this is true or not, but usually it's me bringing in an idea, maybe with some of the lyrics, maybe with none of them, and Ryan and I yelling at each other for a couple of practices until we...
Well, tension
Until it
creates
hammers it out.
creativity.
Massacre a song.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes, you know, one of the songs we're going to do tonight, Ryan and I were trying to figure out a bass line for a different song and went, that's not what we were supposed to be playing, but that worked. And it just, I mean, over the course of that night, the pieces literally, like, I started to play while talking to him about something completely different and went, wait a minute, that's the part we need for that. So, I mean, and then, you know, Mike and Jimmy come in after Ryan and I have sort of worked out those parts, and I'll put the melody line to it and write the lyrics, and these guys come in and, you know, give their 2 cents and add their parts in afterwards. So, I mean, it is definitely collaborative to a degree.
What song was it, by the way, that you're talking about, that you just wrote?
Is it the new song?
No title for it?
Not even title.
No, it does have a title, but
Because I noticed on the list, I asked these guys to provide me with a list of the set list they're going to play tonight, and on the set list there's song number 5 is a new song whose title I'll have tomorrow. Well, here we are tomorrow, and you don't have the title.
I know, and I wasn't thinking about that one. I was thinking about
What's the song about? What's the song about?
Pretty much sitting
Loosely.
It's not the same thing all of our other songs, but it's actually it's about people that I've grown up with and I've known that were intelligent, creative people that were never interested in, you know, doing what our parents did. You know, get up, go to work in the morning, do what they have to do, come home at night, we eat dinner, watch TV, go to bed, and do the same thing, and do that for 40 years. You know, some of the people that I've known said, I'm going to, you know, one of our good friends, Banks in New York, he's a very successful artist, because he said, I'm not going to do that. And he hasn't, and he's a very wealthy man now because of it. And I've had some other friends that were that smart, that were that creative, that never quite got that successful due to various reasons.
Yeah.
You know, whether it was, you know, they grew up so damn poor they just didn't know how to do it, or, you know, they had mental illness that didn't allow them to do it, and some of them are digging ditches, and some of them
like
are
a waste of talent
on
almost.
welfare. Yeah, it's absolute waste of talent. But the lyrics are about the conditions that lead to somebody that talented not being able to do what they want, and a lot of the time it's because when they're, you know, a kid into their 20s, no one ever went to them and said, you know what, you're talented and I appreciate it and I think that you can do this.
Yeah, creativity needs reinforcement because it's self-confidence.
Well, the song's about some of the people that didn't really recognize that they had that, or, you know, needed some further support and further encouragement, and they just, you know, they've never done it, or, you know, they
push in the right direction. So.
Yeah, or, you know, I had some friends that were painters and sculptors that were horrendously talented.
Yeah.
Were told they were horrendously talented, and then told, you know, but, you know, went to school, went to college, won grants, and were told by everyone else they knew, other than people like us, you know, go get a job driving a forklift so you can pay the bills.
Yeah.
And they said, well, I got these grants. You know, some of them are dead, and they're dead specifically because our society doesn't value things like that to the degree it should. And, you know, their personal circumstances just didn't allow them to do what somebody like Banks has done, or what some of our other friends have done. So that's what the song's about.
Right.
Just some brand new song. We should be recording in a couple of weeks. This is for my friends that have been in Iraq, my friends that are still in Iraq. It's called Edge of the World. I sit with my head in my hands, so I watch the world up again. I'm glad, it's about to find of my country family dying in this fine country, and the body bags coming back home, and it makes me sick. Meanwhile, the city streets have become a morgue. You can see the bodies fly right up. We can fight democracy in some foreign land, but when it comes to us, we're ready not to go around. Oh, you now, you someone like you. It's time to stop wrongs and no one's trying. Everybody's slow. That's the answer. Nothing back on you. Gotta set the body up. Red and blue, black and white. We're all send me to the end. I say, when it's time, you go back home. When you're ready to stand together, then come on in. I know you take them. I know this for sure. Now then, we're alright. Let's go. That's the yes we want. Let's back on in. Yeah. Every day, do the best I can. I know that you're doing the same. When it comes time, you come back again. When you're ready to stand together, then come on in. I take the paper, you're in control. You and me, we're all about it. Oh, that's the world.
Tell me about the song "Edge of the World."
That's a new one. That song's actually,
I have no idea what it's about, so I'm interested to hear this.
I wrote that song about some friends of mine that got sent to Iraq. One of them is still there. Two of them have come back. Actually, Alex in the Ivy League that we played with in North Carolina was a Marine that was in Fallujah. And I had seen him on tour. We were on tour in New Jersey, in Delaware, right before he left. And when he came back, we played with him in Wilmington, North Carolina.
It's good to see him alive still. Yeah.
Yes, I was very happy, and I still have one. I still have one friend that's there that's going to be there for quite a long time. And I wrote "Edge of the World" for those guys. I wrote "Edge of the World" to communicate the fact that those guys are soldiers and they do what they're asked to do, and that's what every single one of my friends that's in the military has said. They're like, look, I can disagree with this, I can agree with it. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. This is my job and this is what I do, and you guys are the ones that send me to do it.
Yeah.
And if it's good or bad, it's really
you have
your
to
decision.
Them for,
Definitely. You're gonna support them too.
So that song was
They're
saying,
younger than us, and
right.
So,
And that, no, go ahead.
no, that's definitely you're gonna stand by them. You know what I mean?
And that was the point. Is,
yeah.
you know, I'm glad that I'm not there and you are, because I don't want to be the one getting bombed. On the other hand, I want you to come home.
I see no fire in the sky. I see no ash being talking gasoline satellite. And all the lamps blow the gallows on high. See last past the sea as gas touch the end sky. Oh, I don't know what the future will look like. It should be more and more active. Oh, I was sitting around in the drops of light. Nothing said, yeah. The clock is strict, second closer to 12. My sister's crash called the cannon. I hope there's something there one of these days. I know to play by ourselves. I hope there's something there one of these days.
Drummer question.
All right.
Who do you like as far as what's your influence as far as drummers in different bands?
My favorite drummer is Keith Moon. That's
Yeah.
just a given. I don't play anything like the guy, but I was always impressed with how he played. I play a lot of cymbals like he does, a lot of accents and flourishes and stuff. I just try to.
You can drink like him, Mike.
What?
Yeah. You can drink like him.
Yeah.
Very good.
I just try to fill out the song. I make the song work.
Yeah, you're not just
I
hitting
hit
the
hard
snare.
and I hit right on. I just want to be the foundation. That's all I want to do.
Very good, Mike. Jim, you're in another band also
Yeah.
that's been around for maybe a good 10 years already, right?
A decade almost.
Yeah, the Pug Uglies.
Yeah.
So you're doing double time, right?
Yeah. Since when Jason broke his finger a while back, he's like, "Yeah, I want to just fill in, do some rhythm," because Matt, just Suspect Device, Matt Walsh is playing guitar with him still, and I was like, "Yeah, come on, join them." I was like, "I'll do it for a couple months," and they're like, "Yeah, sure." And I went out and played a show in New York with them, and that was cool, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna stick around for a little bit longer," and then I went on tour with them, and I was like, "All right, this is it. I can't. I'm working and playing the Pugs, and I'm still here."
All right.
But I like them. I love playing this band. I love these guys. So it's just, I love the Pugs too. So I mean, it's just something in me. I just can't give it up. I just love doing it. Wear myself thin, but you gotta live once, though. You know.
We really did have a great time this summer.
Yeah, it was cool.
I think that was
worth it.
We
It was
came
worth
back
it,
from
man.
that. We all went, yeah, we can keep doing this.
Yeah, when you're touring in a station wagon, it bonds you.
we were in the luxury
Yeah,
van
Pacifica
by
is
then.
it's not a very punk rock station wagon. The Pacifica.
Yeah.
Ryan, how'd you hook up with Jason and the Resistance?
It was me.
Yeah, just a lot of pints of Guinness, and it's like one of these days, we're gonna get something together. And there was talk of me joining Suspect Device, and the timing just wasn't there. Then we ran into each other at a bar and said, "Hey, this is what we got going on. Let's do it."
Mike and I had started playing, and we needed a bass player, and I, out of the blue, happened to run into Ryan and go, "Hey,
Very good.
do you want to do this?" And he went, "Yeah, sure, I'll come down."
All right, then one more question. We're in the city here, Boston. There's probably 100 punk bands in this town. Who do you think the cream of the crop is as far as the bands that you're seeing and you're playing out with nowadays out of this town?
I mean, there's obviously people that I consider, some of my closest friends, that I think are fantastic bands that are not only fantastic bands, but also push me to do better. Jimmy's in one of them.
The Pugs, yeah.
Yeah,
Pug Uglies,
absolutely.
Thank you.
I think the Blue Bloods.
Blue Bloods are other good friends of
band
ours.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Blue Bloods, very good band.
Obviously, as an ex-employee, the Street Dogs are good friends of ours.
Yeah.
I'm not an ex-employee, but Ryan
Yeah.
is.
You did some work for the Street Dogs?
Yeah, I had the pleasure of carrying their gear for them.
All right.
For a couple of tours.
But
Thank you.
there's people that when they put out a record and I listen to it and go, man, they really did things on it. I listen to it to learn from almost. People like the Ducky Boys,
Yeah.
who are Mark's a very good friend of mine, and I definitely listen to his records that way.
Do you think there is a Boston sound? A lot of people liken the way the similarities in sounds that a lot of the Boston bands have to maybe the Seattle scene when grunge started, and I mean it's kind of I've always felt being in a band in Boston it's unfair to be pigeonholed, but it's kind of unavoidable that there is some commonality that you can hear.
I think there's a lot of good rock and roll music coming out of Boston too.
Is there something in the water?
It's not just. I don't think it's just like.
There's
more-
other bands.
It's not like this. It's not like you get your street punk and you get your oi and you get your punk rock but I think there's like a lot of like rock and roll, like that band Wild Zero. They were a great rock and roll band, I think. Like
The
Trash
Dents
Boys,
or
the
another.
Dents.
Yeah, the Trash Boys.
This is a lot of there's so much music. There's like a nucleus you know, hopefully other states and other cities could feed off it, because I think there's a lot of great music in Boston right now.
I mean, I think they see us coming a mile away. They can tell no matter what kind of music we're playing.
Far from Infinity, all these
Yeah,
bands,
as soon as they know we're from Boston, you know, you got more than a foot in the door right there, because they know that Boston rock and roll is good.
And isn't it good to be here now at this time?
Oh,
with
sure.
the scene.
Yeah.
I mean, when you go out and play the Abbey, or you know, on a Saturday night, you know it's going to be
like a
full.
family reunion. You see all your friends,
yeah,
like
friends.
So it's a good scene.
Yeah,
You don't
it's
quite always get that at a smaller town out, you know, somewhere else.
no, that's the downfall of going out doing those shows in smaller towns and stuff like that. Even though you play to 10 or 15 kids or 20 kids, and they might have the time of their life. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But then you come back to Boston, you play, you know, in front of like 50 and 60-year-old friends, or maybe like 300 people at Axis or whatever. Like, they're just like, this is home. This is cool. This is what they came out for. It's good to be part of it.